Hey there folks, it's me. I'm back once again at 6 a.m. for another episode of Why Do I Keep Doing This to Myself? At this point it's seeming pretty impossible to me to be able to adhere or formulate and then adhere to a normal sleeping schedule. So instead of having a good night's rest and then getting started on a fun, full day of work or whatever, this morning. Instead, we're going to not get a good night's rest and stay up until 6 a.m. making this video and then working with no sleep all day. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. But anyways, this morning we are here today with another creature design. This was commissioned by the same client as the subject of the last video, the Akua, and this time instead of a sort of a humanoid race like that one was, we're going with just a full-on monster design, I guess. There's nothing humanoid about this one, it's just a creature. So the basic premise behind this one is that it's a large or a semi-large octopus-like creature with many tentacles, which it utilizes in its primary hunting strategy of finding a somewhat thin stream or river and then using this large net like what's the word, formation, I guess, of tentacles that it has to stretch all of the tentacles to different underwater debris or rocks like branches and rocks and roots or whatever, from bank to bank in this river, and whatever river it decides to take up residence in and dam. And these tentacles, when stretched out, act as a sort of net that will like catch anything that comes its way in, sort of like I guess like a spider web. And once its prey, like fish or children or whatever it decides that it would like to eat, is ensnared within this web of tentacles, it then collapses the tentacles around it, forming a sort of like bubble or net or whatever around the prey item, in which it will choose to go ahead and digest them and absorb the nutrients or whatever. And it can also, if it doesn't want to eat them right away, it can also switch them into this larger, or well, maybe not larger, but like this more prominent sort of secondary bubble that's like sprouting out of the back of its head. It can also place prey items. If it doesn't want to eat them right away, it can place prey items up in that bubble for like safekeeping for later, as like a storage sort of thing. Also, this thing has a bit of a snoot on the top of its head, which allows it to inhale air, I think, right? Inhale air and convert it to helium within its anatomy somewhere, I guess inside of its own body, and then move that helium down into the enclosed tentacles that form its net. And by doing this, it can sort of the idea is that it can sort of inflate itself, sort of like a balloon or whatever, and then float above the water's surface with that balloon. And when it's doing that, it can kind of like scan the surface of the water for fish that might be like close to the surface or whatever, or anything that it might want to hunt for whatever reason, and it'll take that snoot on the top of its head and fire off sort of a high-speed projectile. I believe it was the idea was it was kind of like a spike or like a form of acid or something, which would then hit the target, disable it with paralyzing venom, and then allow this creature to go back down into the water and go ahead and ensnare its hapless victim within its tentacle net and eat it, or save it for later in its weird bubble thingy. Just do whatever it wants with it, more or less. So this guy's got a whole lot of stuff that he can do, and there's a whole lot of stuff going on with him. Therefore, we're gonna need a number of just other, I guess, like extra illustrations kind of showing the different states that he can be in. Like I think I end up going with one extra illustration that shows him sort of inflated and floating up in the air upside down, There's one just kind of showing how he would swim in the water, and then there's this main one of just kind of the side view showcasing the creature itself. Since I've been talking, just rambling on and on about the background of the creature and its main features and what it's supposed to be doing and everything, we've already gotten a pretty good portion of the way through designing it here in the video. I'm already at the stage where I'm more or less finalizing this first concept or piece of concept art, I guess. And here I'm just going in and touching it up and adding in some missing elements like this tentacle on the other side in the back, and just finalizing the line work more or less. Oh, and I had a bit of missing footage here actually. I think the problem was I missed hitting the record button after I came back from a break. So here we're just kind of cutting really abruptly. Sorry about that. To me working on drawing him, drawing out what he would look like when he is fully inflated and hovering above the surface of the water upside down with his snoot thingy aiming at like a fish or something that he might see. So yeah, this is kind of the idea that I was talking about earlier, where he shifts helium into his net of like small tentacles and webbing and everything and inflates it into a balloon. And you know what? It's been a while since I worked on this, so I kind of like forgot how how just kind of like fun the concept of this was. Like how fun it was to just take that initial idea of him needing to be able to set up a web type structure with his tentacles in a river. That was the client's initial idea, and then kind of building upon it and coming up with this whole concept that he can inflate them and float with them and everything, and then designing around, you know, both things. It's pretty fun. I love working on stuff like this where it like doesn't really, you know, it doesn't make complete sense looking at it like realistically, but it's plausible enough to work, and it's just like a really fun sort of idea to play around with, I guess. Those are kind of the types of design that I feel like end up being the strongest in terms of designing like a creature or a character or whatever. Just the ones that are sort of steeped in plausibility, but they're just out there enough to be like a little bit silly, but like pretty interesting. I feel like that's just like a really happy medium to go with when you're designing something. So overall, I'd say this one turned out pretty okay. So here we're just adding in some colors, throwing in some, you know, just a color palette. Elected to go with pinks and light blues and some purples and some, you know, areas where there would be like thinner skin, I guess, or like a lot of blood vessels sort of converging in the same place or whatever. And aside from finishing up these color comps, we're more or less already done with this one. So there isn't too much more for me to say, I guess. Yeah. So hey, wait, actually, if you guys have, let's do some like audience interaction here in the last couple minutes actually. If you guys have any like fun creatures or anything that you guys happen to have designed in the past or drawn or whatever, go ahead and leave a link in a comment and I'll check it out. You know, it doesn't have to be like uploaded anywhere specific or in a video, just like you can throw a link to like a DeviantArt page or, you know, whatever you might have. But yeah, I'd definitely be interested in seeing it, so do that. And I might give you a like, thumbs up, or a comment or something beautiful like that. Wouldn't that be great? So we're nearly done here, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up and go pass out in my bed. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.